Today I've got 5 0 rare decks for you ready to play in standard best of 1. These decks are great for new players, beginners and any players on a budget as well. As many of you know, if you're returning subscribers, you know I do a lot of budget content on here. So if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really does mean a lot. But we're going to take a look at these 5 decks. Now they're good for your dailies, they're good for the lower ranks. They can be upgraded with rares and mythics if you do decide to take these a little bit further. But let's take a look at these 5 decks I've brewed together today. Now what I've done with the 5 decks is I've tried to do all the colours in Magic. So hopefully there is something that if you're just like totally swayed towards one colour or your new plan you really like, say green like this one might appeal to you more than the other decks. This one is a mono green dino deck. So very fun. So if you're into playing big creatures, stompy creatures, this mono green stompy deck is going to be for you without a doubt. It's super fun. It has 21 creatures in. It has 24 lands, 2 instants, 7 sorcery, 2 artifacts and 4 enchantments. Then the CMC is 3.4 because we do have quite a lot at the top end, but we do have ways to get up there and ramp into the deck quicker. So ramp means hopefully get ahead of your curve of playing the lands by playing cards like Ixalos, Lawkeeper, that's butchered straight away, and Llanowar Elves that can help you turn 1 put this in turn 2 you might be able to play a 3-drop, where your 3-drop could be Spelunking, it could be Thrashing Brontodon, so you get to play that a little bit earlier. Now, reason we're doing this is to ramp in some absolutely huge dinosaurs if we can. So we got Balamti, Rexor, 6/6 Trample, lots of big creatures at the end that we aim to stomp over our opponents with. Now, not all of these will have Trample in the deck, but Dreadmore is in there. This one does have Trample. When this enters, draw a card for each dinosaur we control. Now, as you can see, we've got 13 dinosaurs in there. You have to do what, I wanted to make it a stompy deck with a dinosaur theme. So that is still, hopefully, with 13 in there, going to help potentially draw us some cards. We've got Ketradon, a 6/6 dinosaur with reach that can gain us a little bit of life. Also, it does have cycling, but, only if you're really short of the lands, you want to be cycling this away. Ceratops, a big 12/8 vanilla dinosaur, but yeah, it's going straight in there as a one-off. And Bristleback as well, because when this enters, it creates a 3/3 green dinosaur. So we have a couple of these in there that can come down and create that extra dinosaur and giving us more dino power. Needletooth Pack, a 4/5, beginning of your end step if a creature dies this turn, put 2/1/1 counts on it, yet another dinosaur as well. Colossodactyl is reach and trample and a 4/5. Good stats for this one being the 4. So I thought, trying to sort out the curve on this deck, I thought this was a good one to have into the deck. Now, once you've got all these on there, we do have, sometimes, like I said, some of these creatures don't have trample, like the Bristleback that's going to make another one dinosaur with 3/3. We have our combat trick, which is Overrun. We'll be ramping out, so this is hopefully going to be easy to play. This gives all our creatures plus 3/3 and trample. So the idea of the deck is to get on this, get your creatures down. Hopefully they survive the amount of removal and wraths that in standard. It's hard, but remember, this is a fun deck. So, not ultra competitive, but all these decks you will get some wins. There's a couple towards the end of the video that to me are a little bit more competitive, but I just had to put a green deck in there and I just didn't want to do what everyone does and just put landfall in there or a budget landfall. This is just trying to do something different. So if you've got something towards the cards of this and you fancy playing Dino Stompy, give this one a go. But this is our combat trick, hopefully for an alpha strike, 1 strike with the creatures on there, and we can do the damage and win the game in 1 turn. Spoke about the ramp with the Lawkeeper and Elves. We've also got Glimpse the Core that can put a basic forest into play as well. And then we've got Hedron Archive that can ramp us a little bit and has another way ability for us to draw cards by sacking it and paying the 2. Thrashing Brontodon, getting rid of artifacts for enchantments. So we've got, pseudo removal there as well. And the same with Paw Patch Formation. It's just a smashing utility card and budget card for us. Destroying target creature with flying, an enchantment, or we just get to draw a card and create a food token. So all in all, this deck is a fun deck. It's got a nice curve to it. And it's just about playing something different other than mono green landfall. You've got dinos here. If you can get a few wins with this game and take it up the ladder a bit, that'd be amazing. But if not, all failed, it's going to be a good one for your dailies. So we go on to me, a slightly more competitive deck. Now, this is Mono Blue Flash. This is my type of deck. A lot of you know. If you don't know, I'm a blue mage. for my sins, I love playing blue decks. So I built this one, and it's really, really fun. So the flash element of it is that you can put cards in that say flash at any time on opponent's turn. So a bit like an instant to you new and beginner players out there. So like this one, Fear of Imposters, you flash this creature in and it can counter target spell, which is really cool that you get a 3/2 creature, but they do get to manifest dread, so they're going to get a 2/2 creature onto the battlefield, but still you could be stopping something really, really powerful and ruining the game for you. So this is just in there as a 4/4 and is a really cool trick for us. Other flash creatures we got in there, like Spectral Sailor, flashing in, turn 1 play. Sometimes we can just play at an opponent's turn if we haven't got the Spyglass Siren. A little bit of a flying theme here. We're playing the Fail Bloom trick that can put fairies into play and tap target creature. So this is all about a tricksy deck, like a control type element deck for a, different to like the mono blue that is usually around, which is what I've tried to do with these decks is give you something a little bit different. Which is like the mono blue Terror deck, the big 5/5 War 2 creature that is normally at the top end of most mono blue decks. This one's trying to be a little bit different and flashing in some creatures and doing work that way. Floodpit Drowner is another one with flash. When this enters, another feature of tapping target creature, and this one gets to put a stun counter on it as well. So more about, slowing opponents down, and then we will be chipping away with our sailors, our spyglasses, and then other flyers as well that we have if we can get them into play with the tricks. Bottomless Pool. Bottomless Pool comes in, returns a creature, keeps the everything clear, and then when it gets to 5, this one can do give us card draw for when we do combat damage. So good for the later game, good for the early game to get rid of something that's going to beat us down, or a flyer, or something that we don't we want to be getting through with. Then this can help us just chip away at our opponents as well. So we also have a couple of other flash cards in there. Eaten by Piranhas. Removal in blue is not really a thing. So we're using cards like this that can enchant a creature. It becomes a 1/1. It loses all its abilities. So in the end, it just becomes a 1/1 blocker for opponent, because it's not going to be that big bad creature with maybe some stuff that it can do that will, kind of hinder our game plan. So we can, blue can either bounce stuff, or it can do stuff like this and, shrink stuff down and make them lose all their abilities. Just, a very annoying card to the opponents. We then have Disculping Blast that returns a target non-land permanent turn, so we can hit anything with this, enchantments, anything. But if it was a creature and if it was attacking, we get to create a 1/1 colourless drone as well. So the creature can only block with that, but it has flying. So it gives us more creatures onto the battlefield potentially as well. The same as with these, 8 potential other creatures in there. We're not, we do have 16 creatures in the deck. It looks like we haven't got a lot, but the idea of this deck is to keep, small creatures, weenie creatures as they used to be called, and just keep pecking away at opponent and countering stuff, bouncing stuff. Basically just a very annoying deck to play, which is why it can get you wins. Some people will just quit out, but yeah, I do like this deck. Now for you Rakdos mages, we've got Rak Sac here deck. This is all about putting creatures onto the battlefield, sacking them for effects and everything like that, being hasty with creatures. This does have 27 creatures, so good against Wrath decks or anything like that where they're trying to, lots of removal or anything. Low CMC, 1.7 this, which is why we're only going for the 22 lands. And as you see in all these decks, all basic lands, because it's all just commons and uncommons, very, very budget for Arena. I know some people say in my videos that I have more rares and mythics than I do for commons and uncommons, but sometimes, I have to cater towards the budget players like this as well. But I know Arena economy is hard. It is hard. So now we have creatures in here that can come back and have effects when they die. So minor is a 2/2, but when we commit a crime, we can then return this. The Sage, when it dies, will create a 1/1 token. Linebreaker creates another 1/1 token. When this one dies, we get to exile a card. So there's lots and lots of value from creatures dying here. We have a sack ability with Umbral Collar Zealot, one of the new cards from Edge of Eternities that helps us surveil, so look through our deck at the top card and then sack the creature, so we can get all these sack abilities if we can. And then hopefully when we start sacking stuff, we have Vengeful Blood Witch on the field. So when this creature or another creature we control dies, opponent gets drained for 1 life and we gain 1 life. So that just works perfectly for the deck. Voidborn is in there as well to do the same effect. When this creature or another creature or artifact dies, opponent loses 1 life and we gain 1 life. But this has warp 1, so we can sneak this in early if we've got maybe, you know, an Umbra on the field and we can just start sacking stuff and draining opponents if we've got the attacks in. This is a very, very fun deck as well to play and can be quite competitive because it can be good with the life gain against the red decks. Sometimes they can be really quick. But we have removal, we've got Final Vengeance, sacking creatures, and then exiling a target creature so we can sack these and still get a body in the field and maybe an effect as well and get rid of a creature. Timeline Colour, brilliant, one of the, probably for me, the best uncommon from Edge of Eternities. Ward this in, attack, and then, you know, sackable creature. Disturbing Mirth, another one that gets us to, when the enchantment ends, we can sack an enchantment or a creature, and then we get to draw cards, draw 2 cards as well. So this is all about using the value of your deck, draining your opponent with hopefully, you know, multiples of these on the field, and then just sacking away and getting the wins. Little bit of removal here with Withering Torment as well, because enchantments, you know, sometimes can mop us up or just be annoying for us to deal with. So Withering Torment can get rid of a creature of that. Just good removal for us and, you know, good for the budget decks. And then, like I said, the land base, very simple. Plains, swamps, and the gorge, because potentially this can come in untapped sometimes. So it's worth putting in your decks for the 2 colour, because obviously we do run. You know, it's really just splashing a little bit of red for the Percussionist and the Disturbing Mirth, but it's definitely worth, you know, putting them in there because they both have card drawing effects for us. And that is what's, you know, card drawing effects, and we're not going to lose life for doing it like black sometimes does. But this is Rak Sac. Give this one a go. Let me know how far, you know, take this one to the ladder if you're in the low ranks, and let me know how good you do with it. Hopefully you will do really well with it. But let's get on to the next deck. Now this is the last 2 are slightly more competitive for me. Boros Tokens, very good. So Boros is very good. There's a Boros deck around at the moment, but I went for like a token sort of deck because Impact Tremors is a sweet card. We got 3 of these in there, and we also have 3 Ardents. Now Ardent does the same sort of thing. Whenever an artifact or creature you control enters, 1 damage to each opponent. I was 4 of these, but I feel like I needed, you know, a little bit extra coming onto the field, but, you know, I wasn't having quite enough tokens. So I thought with these 6 effects, you know, you could go maybe 2 and 4 if you feel like you want to do that, because the Impact Tremors is slightly harder to kill. But I do like having this on there as well as a body, which is nice. And then we have just so many token makers on here, and a little bit of life gain sometimes needed, because sometimes you can get a little bit behind with the early aggro creatures, and a little Hinterland Sanctifier is on there is really good when you're just chucking in like double creatures with like Resolute, Frontline Rush making 2 goblins as well, Hop It making 3 rabbits, getting them onto the field, and then these 2 top ends. And I split these 2 and 2 because Heroic Reinforcements is really good, makes the 2 extra creatures, gives everything 1/1 and haste. But then the Mayhem is decent as well, because this creates 3 creatures and gives them haste, lifelink, and menace. So you can get in with a little bit of life gain, and it gives you an extra creature as well. And generally, they will get through. So 2 and 2 for these, I thought this was really good. Now, as you can see, we can make so many tokens in this deck. So when they're coming in, the Tremors and 1 of these on the field, or 2 Tremors on the field, God, you're just doing so much damage. Sometimes you just do not even need to attack with this deck. It's just so good. More damage to the dome as well with like Lightning Strikes and Lightning Helix can help us with a little bit of life gain as well with some big aggressive decks. Pseudo removal, depending on how many creatures we have on the field for a spot, you know, a bit of spot removal with this. And when 3 attack, we get that soul creatures and they get a little bit more power as well. If we need a little bit more power, we've got Requisition Rage. We can use this to destroy an artifact and enchantment. 1/1 counter on each creature control is a nice little combat trick for us that we have to play before combat because it's sorcery, but pumps up the team. And if we just need to get that final bit of damage, a couple of tokens through, then that sometimes helps you as well. Last one to talk about was Battle Menu. Just a really good situational card. A couple of these on there. A bit of removal for big creatures with the magic ability. Gain life with item. Generally using this though really for the magic option, destroy target creature, and the create the 2/2 knight is what mainly this will be used in there. And it's just in there as a couple of. Change of the land with this one, we're going with bluffs because we're pinging damage everywhere, so we might as well have the bluff that pings damage like this one, and then a load of bases. But your idea of this deck is getting the Tremors onto the field if you can, but don't be, you know, if you have to play some of these creatures to just, you know, to save yourself first, do that. Don't just wait till you've got one of these on the field and do that. Sometimes you just have to, and you can build up an army and just keep pecking away till you get these later on, you know, and then just dropping this warp in and maybe playing a couple of spells even and just getting the damage in is still really sweet. But this one, I've had some good success with this one already on the ranked ladder, so this one is good to me. But let's get on to the final deck. This is Azorius Flyers. So blue-white Flyers is flying evasion to fly over the top of an opponent with a, not really any counter, not really a control sort of deck, but we do run 4 No More Lies in this one. But it's based around flying creatures. We've got 23 creatures in there, 7 instants, 3 sorceries, 23 lands. CMC of 1.9, so, went for the 23 over the 22 lands from testing on this one. Some familiar cards in it, as you can see. Spyglass Siren is in this one as well. The Plume Creed is really good, flash flying. I think I put this in my flash deck, I'm not too sure, but if not, it should have been in there. When this creature enters, target creature you control gains hexproof. And then again, the Fail Bloom trick, creating 2 fairies and tapping down opponent's creatures. So we have what you might see in mono white decks, Healer's Hawk, Rune Luca as well. 2 good early flying creatures down there. And then we go to the higher end where we've got Overseer for a bit of card draw, gaining life. And then the creature that, blends the whole deck together is Emphrian Eagle. Gives all our other creatures +1/1. So 2 of these on the field, then they're going to trigger each other. Then this will become a 3/4, and obviously everything else, 3/3s, 3/3, 3/3. It just works out. If you've got 2 on the field, it just works out really, really well. Now, little bit of more protection, removal, Shelter by Ghost, because it's, probably one of the best uncommons in Standard. It's really good turn 2 play if, you just want to fly over and just make something, if they're playing their Tifas for the landfalls or the Chocobos, getting rid of that as early as you can is really good. So even if you play it turn 2 to get rid of that, put it on your Healer's Hawk, Spyglass or Ruin, they're going to have to generally try and remove that. And, it just slows those sort of decks down, which is nice. The Requisition Raid is just a good utility card, so we're using this one again. Destroy Artifact, Enchantments, 1/1 counter on all these flyers as well. Just, some of these cards are crossing over because you might be able to mix, build a couple of decks out of these, which is what I try and do, is sometimes use crossover cards in my build so that some of you players can maybe get a couple of decks out of these. Yeah, this one is super fun. Give it a try if you can. I found this one to be quite competitive sometimes. For the lower ranks, I'm not talking Mythic or anything like that. If you got this to Mythic, come back and let me know. I'll be so happy if you did. But this is, fun for dailies, maybe doing some little events or something like that, and lower ranks as well, which is where these new player, beginner, starter budget decks are really based for. And then you can build these up with rares and everything like that. So if you play one of these decks and enjoy them and you want to take it further, leave it in the comments if you want me to suggest some rares from, if you can't work them out for yourself, and then I will tell you what I think you should take out. But it will just be advice. It won't mean that it works or is perfect. I'm a player like you, but I've been building decks for about 13, 14 years, and my whole channel is based around building decks. So I hope you all enjoyed today's video. If you want to get any of these decks in paper, shout out to the channel sponsors, which is Cardmarket, links below. And, got some lovely Patreons. If you want to become a Patreon, you get all these deck lists early. You can chat to me more in person about some of the decks or your own builds. Please go and join that. You can do it as little, I think, as $1 or $2, $3 or something like that. And, I appreciate all you for watching it. Give it a big thumbs up. You lot take care. See you on the next one.